Welcome to the Thoughtful Entrepreneur Show. I'm Josh Elledge, founder and CEO of UpMyInfluence.com. We turn entrepreneurs into media celebrities, grow their authority, and help them build partnerships with top influencers. We believe that every person has a unique message that can positively impact the world. Stick around to the end of the show, where I'll reveal how you can be our next guest on one of the fastest growing daily inspiration podcasts on the planet in 15 to 20 minutes. Let's go. All right, Barbara Grassey, you are known as the book boss.
Yes.
And you're on the web at barbaragrassey.com. And that's Barbara, and Grassey is Grassey.com. And you help people put books together, but not necessarily volume 4 of the Harry Potter series, which was significantly longer than the first 3. That's where I stopped. I'm like, this is too much here.
Oh, come on. I'll wait for the movie.
Yeah, that's what I did.
That's allowed. That's okay.
So you're a big fan of small books, of what you call mini books, right? Little books.
Little books. And what I found is I'm a reader, and I started out in life like from 3-4 years old. I was reading everything I could get my hands on. And people are not readers anymore. They're listening to podcasts. They're watching videos. And so books are getting shorter, even real books, except for Harry Potter 4. So they're getting shorter because people have shorter attention spans. There's more things vying for their attention. And what I advocate doing, especially if you've never written a book before, is to write a little book, a short book that's a promotional book for your business, something that's going to help you find your people and help get your name out there. Because big books are scary.
Yeah, sure. And I think, again, just in terms of digesting them, if somebody gives me like a 30-page book and I'm interested in the subject, I'm going to listen to, or I'm going to read it. But yeah, sitting down, like I'll listen to audiobooks. Like I can work my way through that in, maybe like 30 to 40 minutes max at a time. But yeah, reading a book, I agree. Like it's really rare. I am a hyper consumer when it comes to podcasts and YouTube videos. And I think that again, just culturally, I'm sure there's some people that are going to argue with us about this, but I don't know. I think if you do the research,
you can break it down demographically. And older women tend to read. We grew up reading. Younger men tend to watch videos or listen to podcasts. And men start listening to podcasts about the age of 18 or so, and go up through now mid-40s and older. But it's split along gender lines to a certain extent, and it's also split along age lines, because if you grew up with reading, you're a reader. If that was all you had. But now a lot of people struggled with reading, so videos and podcasts are a godsend for them.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, like I said, I will spend hours a day learning stuff if I can, either multitask when I'm out riding a bike, but, to grab all of my attention onto words on a page. It's, I've read a handful of books this year, and I'm almost embarrassed to admit that. But at the same time, I consume more education than probably 95%, at least 95% of the country.
Oh, yeah. And that's a pretty low bar, but yes.
Yeah. All right. So, how does one, give me a couple more reasons how somebody would use, why they should get motivated to put together a mini book?
Oh, well, this is easy because I call little books the Swiss Army knife of marketing tools, because they have so many uses. So one of the things you can do is to use it, first of all, as an opt-in on your website to gather names and email addresses, so you can start building your list with it. Second thing that I really love about little books is it showcases your knowledge and your expertise, because when somebody is looking for a vendor, somebody to provide services, somebody with a product, they want to make sure that the person they're giving their money to, especially on the internet, is not somebody who's incompetent or somebody who's just going to take their money and run. So if you have a book out there, They can read the book. They can see you've got some substance to you. And actually just writing a book proves to people that you know enough about the subject to write a book. That's a real big one. It's a nice little funnel starter, and you can use a little book as a tripwire. I know one of the things that was very big for a while was the $7 special report. You paid $7 for a report. It was about 20, 30 pages on something very specific, a how-to. And that tripwire was, will people pay for this information? And if they bought the report, yes, they were interested enough to pay $7. And $7 is a very low fee.
Yeah.
But, you can buy a full book for $7 too. So it's interesting that they would pay $7 for a special report. And you can also just use it to get your name out there. It increases your visibility. And for people who are out there speaking, having a book, even if it's a little book, is a nice thing for the person introducing you to say, our next speaker is the author of such and such. And I live in Tampa. And I have to tell you, actually, I'm outside of Tampa. Just about everybody in Tampa in business has a book. Not my fault, but everyone's an author. So I always tell people, if you're going to do a book, make sure it's a good book, even if it's a little book. A lot of people stretch to make a full book. If you don't have that much information, there's no sin in having a short book. And as you said, you would like it better if you just got right to the main content.
Oh, sure.
Exactly.
Yeah. So if somebody's been producing written content, say in a blog for a number of years, chances are they got at least one book already written.
Or if they've been producing a podcast, they have at least one book, because you take those and you find the thread that weaves them together. I actually just worked with a man who has been blogging for years, and he put together his first book kind of as a test. He's really doing a bigger second book, but his first was taking his blog posts and stringing them together with a theme and with lessons in between. And he had a book that we got to, it was number one in a couple of categories on Amazon. Oh. And it just got ranked as one of the top 50 Amazon marketing books of the year, which was really nice because it was basically built from his blog post. So if you've been blogging or podcasting, you probably already have a book.
Wow. Okay. So what does this, like, how do we put a book together? Is because it sounds big and scary.
Some books are big and scary. Harry Potter 4, for instance. It's really thinking about what your reader needs to know and what they want to know. Whenever I sit down to talk to somebody about doing a book, I'll say 2 questions. What do you want your reader to get out of this book? Because that should be your first concern. What are they going to get out of it? How will it help them? And then the second question is, what do you want to get out of the book? Because I work with business books, and those are people that want their book to help them get more business. So sitting down to write a book, especially a little book, is not that tough. It's a matter of organizing your work. I tend to do a brain dump, and then I organize according to categories. So I might have, for instance, I just realized I've got an outline for a book on masterminds because we did a summit on masterminds. So I look to see, what do people want to know? What do they need to know? And what's a logical progression for it? And if you just go with common sense and logic, you're halfway there.
Is there any way, Barbara, I could speed up this process or make that? Let's say that a lot of folks that listen to this program, they're running a thriving company. Right. They're very busy. And so the idea of adding one more thing to their plate.
Yes.
So how could we maybe systematize this, or who could we hire to at a reasonable rate, or what, maybe we could hire someone and train somebody on our team to be able to help us do this. Right. But any ideas there? Oh,
tons. You can hire a ghostwriter, or actually any writer. I recommend Upwork if you're looking for that. I used to ghostwrite bigger projects. I only take on 1 or 2 projects a year now because they are big. For small books, you can easily get somebody on Upwork to put that together. I actually have a course on how to put together little books called, Big Profits in Little Books. And you can train somebody on your team to do that too, because really they follow a formula. So if you're going to do a promotional book, I've got a formula for that. If you're going to do, and I love these top 10 tips or top 10 red flags, things to look out for.
Yeah.
And if you've got a business that is a service-oriented business, and one of the types of books I like for those businesses is What do people need to look out for before they hire somebody in this industry? And if you're telling them that, I think one of the best-selling little books ever was from a car salesman that said, this is what car salesmen do to trick you, right? So, so if you've got a car salesman that's telling you all his tricks, you're going to go to that car salesman because he's just showing you, this is what car salesmen do, this is what I do. So it can be very formulaic because people aren't reading every single little book you put out, but it's also something you can hire out easily. And there's tons of people on Upwork that are great. I would not use Fiverr.
No, gosh, please, come on.
And I would look for Native American or Canadian speaking, because even though people from other countries speak impeccable English, they do not speak American. And which I always find out when I make jokes to them on the helpline. My jokes do not translate in Bangalore. They don't get them.
No, right, right.
I'm American. I'm funny. Thank you very much.
And that's one thing. Admittedly, we've hired a lot of people over the past 12 years, both domestically and overseas. And writing is one of those ones I've had a real tough time trying. Even just blog writing, like there are just some things that it ends. There's a lot of, I appreciate if I'm writing to a North American audience, someone that's just been living a North American lifestyle.
They need to.
It really makes a big difference, even though the grammar and everything else is,
perfect.
It's correct. Yeah, sure.
And Americans we don't speak with correct grammar.
No, we certainly don't.
And part of that is regionalisms, and part of that is just the casualness of the American language.
Yeah. So Barbara, tell me about your business and how have you been able to grow and scale the work that you're doing?
And it's been a journey. I've been an entrepreneur. I started entrepreneuring in the 80s, then took a couple of jobs and started back again in the late 90s. So I've been writing books, and I fell into it since about 2000, so about 20 years. And one of the things you find out as a female is that you are kind of unhireable after 40 or 45, depending on how well preserved you are.
Wow.
And men find this out about 50, 55. So we get the word earlier than the guys do. And after you've been working for yourself for a while, you really are kind of unemployable. You don't take a lot from that employer. You know how things ought to be done and how you would run things. And you kind of get a bad attitude, Josh.
I can see.
So, oh, that was subtle. I love it. So I started working, writing for other people, and I was working as a ghostwriter, and I did not know how much I should be charging. And this is something that women really need to investigate because they don't charge enough money for what they do. And I'll say it categorically as females, up your prices. That's one of the sentences I'll put into every talk that I do. It's like, if you're a woman, double your prices. So I started working with really national speakers, writing their courses and manuals. And I launched out from there. And what I had was people that could not afford my services. They're like, how do I write a book? So I wrote a course on how to write a book. And that was kind of a bigger course for people. And then I started running into people that just needed a small book for their business. And over the years, I've niched down from writing certain things to really doing marketing plans for people who have a business book. Because people put a lot of work into their business books and they launch it and they get a little pop and then nothing happens. And the idea of the business book is not to sell copies of the book. It's to use the book to market your business.
Right.
And once you get that mindset change, you can do amazing things with the book.
Yeah. So, Barbara, just if you could kind of throw a bucket of cold water on anybody who's thinking that they're going to write a book, make a lot of money selling that book. Do you have any statistics or, general, like, listen, I've been in this world for a while. Let me tell you the reality.
Yeah. Oprah's not going to call.
Yeah.
Because if she was, I would not be here, Josh. I would be done. Right.
Yeah.
The average book sells fewer than 250 copies in its lifetime. So it's not even 250 copies a year, it's lifetime. And that's why I tell people, don't get hung up on selling copies of the book. You want to use it as a marketing tool.
Wow.
Other stats are, 81% of people say they want to write a book. And then my favorite follow-up stat is 9 out of 10 people who start writing a book don't finish. Like, that's where I come in. Thanks. Yeah.
So that's really interesting. So Barbara, imagine if someone were writing a book and you were to say, okay, so here's the deal. You're going to do all this work and you are going to sell 250 copies.
Max.
So, yeah, right. And max, like over your lifetime.
Yes.
So those are the numbers. I mean, and I'm just telling you, that's exactly how many books you're going to sell. That said, how can you leverage the authority from writing a book, and how can you leverage those 250 sales and the fact that you just have a book to increase all of the other areas of your business? Do you think that's a good question?
That's a great question.
I thought you might like it, but you just blew my mind right there. Like in thinking that. And then it's like when you do, so we, obviously without my influence, we're getting media for a lot of people. Like I blew 25 grand hiring PR firms, and I got one good introduction to reporter. And, I turned that into, because of my own skills, I was able to turn that into, probably about, I got a regular segment, probably did about 40 to 50 segments with it. So that was cool. But other than that, the PR firm, all they did was make the intro, and they got me to speak at a lawn and garden show. And so if someone said, listen, you're going to spend $25,000, this is all you're going to get, how could you max that out?
Yeah.
And how could you get the
hire a VA?
Yeah, I mean, that's not a good investment. Yeah. But I share that. Here's the reality. In media, most people overvalue the visibility aspect of being in the media. And they think, oh my gosh, I'm going to get in front of all those eyeballs and all my wildest dreams are going to come true.
And my site is going to crash. So many people.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Now, I can tell you that it actually has happened. But you got to do stuff like I did like a 20-minute segment on Chicago radio. Like
that
it's got to be
difference.
Like really, really big. In order, like if you're just doing local news or something like that, again, you're going to be underwhelmed.
Yes.
Okay. But that said, should you still do it? Absolutely. Because the visibility is just one of like 5 major big benefits you get. Having a book is the same thing, Barbara. If you have a book, that is a calling card that legitimizes your authority. It opens doors. And matter of fact, of those, here's the crazy thing. Of the 250 people that buy the book, how many people are actually going to read it cover to cover?
Nobody. People bail at page 18.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, I'm usually the only person that reads cover to cover. And that's why shorter books work better. It gets your book read. It's a shorter book and it's easier to digest.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I had a guy he was an Uber driver and he gave me a book. We started talking about like religion and faith and stuff. And he was from Nigeria. And so he recently moved to the US and I guess he was going around speaking and he said, look, I've got a 15-page book. And he said, would you like a copy? You're welcome to take it if you want. I wrote it myself. I'm like, yeah, sure. I flipped through it and I read it. And I was like, man, cool. I consumed all of it. Now, if he had given me 150, and I think even if he had offered me a 150-page book, I would have politely declined. I get books at conferences all the time.
Me too.
And it's, they're all sitting on that shelf over there.
Well, I have tons. And the books that I really don't like are the compilation books, where somebody gets you to pay them a certain amount of money to have a chapter in their book. And I have a blog post that says, nobody's going to read your chapter. And these people, you get a certain number of copies for paying your money, and they give the book away or they sell it, and there's a bookmark in their chapter. The people who know you might read your chapter, but other people aren't going to find you through a compilation book because they just, honestly, it sits on the shelf and collects dust.
Yeah. Barbara, this has honestly been one of my favorite conversations I've had in a long time. This is really, really cool. So you are on the web, Barbara Grassey. You're the founder and CEO of you are known as the Book Boss.
I know.
And you're on the web at Barbara Grassey.com, Grassey.com. And you have free training, you have free resources, you have free mini course.
Give it away.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually the mini course is really good. It's video, so you'll like it. And
I love it.
It's things on finding the time to write your book, overcoming imposter syndrome, and getting the whole thing scheduled. So that's a free training you can go to. There's also a free training on how to use mini books for your business.
I love it. Barbara, that's awesome. I love your go-giver approach as well. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Josh. You take care.
Thanks for listening to The Thoughtful Entrepreneur Show. If you are a thoughtful business owner or professional who would like to be on this daily program, please visit upmyinfluence.com/guest. Now, if you've got something out of this interview, would you share this episode on social media? Just do a quick screenshot with your phone and text it to a friend or post it on the socials. Now, if you do that, tag us with the hashtag UpMyInfluence. Each month, we scour Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. We pick one winner from each platform, and you get crowned king or queen of that social media. Now, what do you win? We're going to promote you and your business to over 120,000 social media fans, totally free. Now, can you also hook us up? Now, in your podcast player right now, please give us a thumbs up or a rating and review. We promise to read it all and take action. We believe that every person has a message that can positively impact the world. Your feedback helps us fulfill that mission. And while you're at it, hit that subscribe button. You know why? Tomorrow, that's right, 7 days a week, you are going to be inspired and motivated to succeed. 15 minutes a day. Now, my name's Josh Elledge. Let's connect on the socials. You'll find all the stuff we're doing at upmyinfluence.com. Now, thanks for listening, and thank you for being a part of the Thoughtful Entrepreneur Movement.